Okay, so now I'm going to teach you how to create a company. So in order to create a company, you have several solutions. Either you can use, as you will use whenever you're creating something on the system, the create new bar on the left side menu and choose company, which will bring you to the company creation page. Or you will click on company on the company tab to arrive to the company home page, where you can click on new in order to create a new company. So that's what I will do. Both methods bring you to the same page anyway. Personally, I think it's easier because you always have access to the create new, but if you prefer to create them from the company tab, it's also possible. So I click on new, and here I arrive on the page of creation of a new company. So you have the different fields that can be filled when creating a company, as well as the fields that need to be filled when creating a company, which are marked by a red bar, which you will find very often in Salesforce, and which, as it is indicated here, equals required information. So, in order to create a company, the first thing I need is the company name. So here, because we're in education, I'm gonna create a company called Education. The second thing that I need is the phone number of the company. So I'm gonna put the phone number of the ISEC office, and a website, so I'm gonna put the ISEC website. And lastly, I will need a description of the company. So usually what I advise you to do for the description is to go on the company website and directly copy paste a small short description of what the company is, what they do, etc. But you can also enter the text by yourself, describing quickly what that company does for someone that would arrive after you on the system, and look at that company maybe 2 or 3 years after you left ISEC. So here I'm gonna put that it's educational video for ISEC in Belgium. Okay. So I could save here, of course, my company. The system will not block me as the required information is completed. But as you, I guess, have figured out by now, if I do this, I entered very little information about my company. So what are the other informations that I will need to enter, which are not mandatory but strongly recommended to enter? Well, first is this box called Account Manager. If you hover on the question mark, you have a small help text that appears, who says who is responsible for that account in your LC. One important thing to know in the system, account and company are the same thing. It's what is represented by those folders. They represent a company in the real world. So what we're asking here basically is what member in your LC is responsible for the account management of that company. In order to enter that field, as you can see on the side, you have a small magnifying glass, which if you click on it, will open a new window, which is a lookup window, in which you will be able to search for the member who will be responsible from that company. So of course the member already has to be in the system, so for now I'm gonna put myself and click on go for the search. And then I'm going to click on the name of the person I want to add them to the field. This field is especially important in the sense that if your companies are not managed by anyone, who is in charge of contacting them, who is in charge of making sure that there is a proper follow-up with that company, who is in charge of making sure that that company is contacted within the last 3 months, so that that company stays on your list. So that's really the question you must answer by filling that field. The next field is not so mandatory. It's the parent company. That you will fill only if the company you're entering in the system is a local office or a local subsidiary of a national company. One example is if you were to approach the specific office for Fortis in Antwerp, and for matters that are independent of Fortis nationally, you would create a company called Fortis Antwerp and link it by entering Fortis in the parent company. Then you have the industry. This is actually quite important to fill because it will allow you to track in which industries are the different companies that you have for your LC, and to see if you're actually focusing on the proper type of company. So here, because we're in an educational video, I'm just going to enter education. But when you're doing it, please enter the actual industry of your of the company that you're creating. After that, you have the address information. It's called billing, but it's really the address that we're looking here in those 5 fields. For that, of course, you can leave it blank. The advantage if you fill it is that you will then have a link in your company towards Google Maps, which will allow you to, if you book a meeting with the company, see exactly where the company is and have your itinerary right away without having to find again the address, enter it again in Google Maps, etc., etc. So it's usually better to take the time to fill it a bit. You have the VAT number if they give it to you after that once you're dealing with them. This way you don't have to ask for them again every time you need to invoice them for something. As well as additional information on the company, as like the annual revenue and the number of employees, which will be precious informations before you go on a meeting with them to know what you will offer them. Once you've finished entering all those informations, you just hit save, and it will save the company as a company for your LC. One important part, if you look at the company page, so that's how a company look in the system once it's created, and you can see the empty fields are appearing as empty, as well as I would have Google Maps if I had entered an address. You will see that you have only an edit button but no delete button. The fact is that as an LC user, you cannot delete a company in the system. So if you created that company by mistake, you will have to email the MC right away, asking them to delete that company that was created by mistake.